The old Jarl has died, and a slew of monsters are coming to destroy your villages and just kill everybody. Can you fight off those monsters and become the next champion of Midgard? And as an extra added bonus, we're going to be reviewing the Valhalla expansion with it. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dice Odyssey. I'm Kaz, and today I'm going to give you just a general review of Champions of Midgard and, like I said, the Valhalla expansion. Now, under normal circumstances, I give a slightly detailed general rules overview of what's going on in the game and exactly, in some respects, how to play it. But I want to try a little bit of a different format today. It's going to be a little bit more opinion-based than just straight rules-based, okay? I usually do an opinion at the end, but I'm going to kind of intersperse opinion throughout as I talk about the game. But anyway, I do want to talk about it because I will go ahead and straight up say that I was not the biggest fan of this game in base game form. It wasn't that the game was bad. It wasn't that it was not well designed. It was just not something that was catching me. Like so many people thought that it might, you know, and it's funny. I had so many people talking to me about, you know, Kaz, you keep putting Lords of Waterdeep on your top games of all time list. Have you tried Champions of Midgard? So I went ahead and picked this game up off of other people's suggestions. I'll go ahead and talk about the things I like, the things maybe I didn't like so much, pros, cons, you know, some of that's subjective as it is. And then I'm going to give you my final rating and opinion on it. Now, when it comes to theme, I really love the Viking theme, okay? One of my all-time favorite games is Blood Rage. I like the Viking theme in general when it's done correctly. That's one of the other reasons I was kind of excited to try this. And so when it comes to the theme, I think this game hits it pretty well. I really do, especially if you're just talking about tossing dice. You have trolls that are trying to attack your village directly. You've got draugrs. You've got monsters that you have to, you know, prepare for and actually get boats. You know, these boats, you have to hire these boats to go overseas and actually, brave the seas, deal with the dangers on the seas, and fight the monsters. And I think that's kind of cool, you know. And the game itself is a worker placement game, dice placement, you know, but also worker placement because you have your actual meeples that you send out to do the different things in the village to kind of prepare to go fight monsters. And I like how the thematic ties are there. You have the troll that's threatening the village. If somebody doesn't go up here and fight that troll, they're going to get a blame token. As a matter of fact, everybody will get a blame token. And if somebody does fight them, you can give that blame token to somebody else if you beat the troll. I like that. And you gain, I think it's wood from beating the troll. The fact that you have draugrs up here, basically big giant zombies, and you have to fight those as well. And then, you know, you can prepare by sending your workers out to different spots on the board to build your Viking clan up to prepare to go fight the monsters overseas. This game kind of gave me a little bit of the same feeling, to a certain extent, of Raiders of the North Sea, which is another game I actually like. It's on my top games of all time list. And I was really intrigued by that as well. I was like, yeah, I like that game, so I probably will like this one. And some of the worker placement spots I really like the hunting grounds. Going out, send your workers out there, your dice, to, you know, go and get meat, food to prepare for the journey. I like the idea of getting the different market stalls set up. And the fact that they're different every game. You know, like if you send somebody out to a market stall, it can give you wood and food, or it can give you, you know, coins, or even more dice warriors. You know what I mean? I like the fact that you're going out here to the grounds and trying to hire different kinds of dice. I guess you could say hire, but you're probably, you know, getting a big piece of meat and going, here, Viking boy, come on, let's go fight these monsters. So you can get the black, red, or white dice, and each one of those dice have very specific abilities. Like, you know, the black dice has double hits on one side, or a couple sides actually. They're the axemen, And then you also have the bowman, you know, and then the swordsman and things of that nature. And I like how they have their kind of strengths and weaknesses in that regard. I also like the idea of being able to go get the rune cards that can actually give you in-game points as well as give you special abilities in-game. Like, for example, re-roll any Viking warriors which came up blank in a round of hunting or combat. So they might give you like a save if you're getting screwed over in battle, which can happen quite a bit. You know, they're dice. It is what it is. The Sage House, you can go get more journey cards. Like, for example, they give you little goals for the end game, which kind of gives you more ideas of where you might want to go and try to gain more things to get more points and such. For example, Slayer of the Undead have the most Draugr cards at the end of the game. You get 7 extra points. I even like the idea of sending the ships across, and you have to have those resources, and you choose how many dice are going into battle against the monsters or even the troll, the Draugrs, and this, that, and the other. And you have to feed your people, so to speak, and it's like a Uwe Rosenberg game. You have to feed your people as you cross the high seas, which thematically makes sense, you know. And the fact that you don't know if you're going to face any dangers or not. You could face a kraken, or you could face, you know, an all quiet. There's nothing going on. You lucked out, so to speak. The gods were in your favor, kind of thing. And, you know, there's other places that you can go on the board to get different things, like the trading areas and things of that nature. And you really have to plan ahead, because if you go into battle against a monster, they have a certain amount of hit points and they can deal a certain amount of damage back. And you can get, like, you know, points off of them. And also you might not be able to use a certain kind of die going against it. So you really have to think strategically about what dice you're gaining in your preparation phases before you send them out onto the high seas to go do battle. And I'll say this, I also really like the idea of having different characters, Viking leaders that are completely different from each other. You give me asymmetric powers in almost any game, you get good points in that. But at the same time, I felt like some of them were just better than others in general. So it's kind of a slight imbalance in the game when it comes to some people and what they want to do. One of my favorite, though, was Asmundur, the Pious. You gain 2 points whenever you spend a favor token to reroll. Cool power, right? And then you also have the Berserker. I can't pronounce that. You gain 1 point each time you roll 1 or more 2-hit results in a round of combat, and does not apply to hunting. I'll tell you this one in particular now. That I think there was one more, but I can't remember the name of it right now. This one in particular, I really felt was not as strong as some of the other ones. The last one I mentioned, the Berserker, okay? I had other people at the table really feel the same way, that it was not a very strong character power to have. And don't get me wrong, you'll gain it, but you're not gaining that much because the dice may or may not hit. You know, it's kind of like almost like a pressure luck, but there's no real downside, I guess. So yeah, it's okay, but it's nothing great to write home about. So some of the character powers that I felt, and a few other people felt at the table, they weren't as good as some of the others, you know. So it's a slight imbalance there, we thought. And another pro is just the fact that you have dice. Okay, I love rolling dice. Now, it's a double-edged sword in this game. No pun intended. And as much as I absolutely love the dice, that kind of leads me into one of my major cons about this game. I'm a massive fan of dice. I am. Okay, I love it. You give me dice in games, I'm typically interested. I like the idea of rolling dice. I just do. But in this game, it can seriously hose you, especially if you're going into combat, even if you have enough of what you need, and sometimes even if you have an overwhelming amount of what you need. Dice are dice, and they can hose you. And in this game, that could set you back tremendously, especially if somebody else is coming in behind you, and not necessarily behind you right then, but maybe they're going to go fight a monster later on that you could not defeat, and you just destroyed yourself trying to take in almost all of your warriors, or a ton of your warriors, into battle, and you just got hosed massively. Now, don't get me wrong, the favor tokens are there, and you can do some re-rolls and things of that nature. You know, so there is a mitigatable effect in this game, but I'll tell you, there were so many times I had gotten hurt by not getting effective rolls in this game that it did hurt me pretty bad. And it wasn't just a one-time thing. And so I was a bit sour to the experience, I will not lie, you know. And as somebody who loves dice, I get that that's a possibility. There's that randomness aspect, you know. And so when it came down to it, I thought, okay, the game is probably pretty well designed. It seems like it is. But that the fact of getting hosed on your journey across, especially if you have to fight a kraken, that happened. I've seen that happen too many times. You have to fight a kraken or something before you actually fight the monster. That could seriously destroy your chances of winning. I mean, one bad round could set you back. Okay, it's just a fact. And so that soured my view of the base game to a certain extent. I didn't think it was an awful game or anything like that. It was well designed and decent, but it wasn't the end-all be-all I was hearing some people say. And for me, it didn't go and replace Lords of Waterdeep. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I was on Champions of Midgard. I would have rated this probably about a 5.5 or a 6. Now, that's just my personal rating. That was not that the game is awful and bad. You may love it. I know some people that love this game and think it's, the greatest thing since sliced bread. I did not feel that way. Now, if all I ended up with was the base game of Champions of Midgard, I had a 5.5 or a 6, and just in how I was feeling about it. Not a horrible game, just not one that was like, hey, I need to keep it on my shelf and it needs to replace something else. If that's all I had, I would have gone ahead and sold this joker or done a giveaway on the channel. But don't be so happy just yet, because then I had people saying, hey, you need to play this game with the Valhalla expansion because, man, it is so essential and you'll love this game and you'll be head over heels for it. Hey, I heard some of y'all saying that about Champions of Midgard. But I bit the bullet and I went, all right, let me try this. Boy, am I glad I listened. Because now the Valhalla expansion bumps this game up from like a 5.5 up to like an 8.5 or higher. I mean, the more I play it, the more I'm loving it. And let me tell you why I'm loving it now. Not only does it add a ton of new dice in the game, which I thought was really cool, a couple different styles of new styles of warriors. For example, the Berserkers, which go into battle, and they do a heck of a lot of damage if they can hit right, but they also die first unless you have the new shield dice that protect them. Not only did it add that stuff, which is really cool, just more dice is awesome, but now it adds a better economic system, so to speak, and it makes it a more thematic game because now it adds this market board, which is basically this is Valhalla, okay? So, whenever you have your dice die in battle, it's not a wasted effort. You're not screwed and hosed so badly that you can't recover necessarily. You now get a token of your dice's color, your warrior's color, and there's one for each style in the game. You can now use these to go into purchasing, Valkyrie blessings and use it to fight massive, more even crazier epic monsters, which give you like more combinations for in-game scoring and things of that nature. For example, Jormungandr. Anyway, you get 9 points, but at the game end, you get 4 points for every monster card that you get, and I think this one might be by color. I'm not sure. I have to look at it again. But also you got Freya's blessing. You spend some of these tokens of just dead warriors. You're using their corpses to buy blessings. What a morbid system. And you get more stuff. You get more resources and special abilities and even dice to use. And another thing it adds are these leader dice. And I love this because not only does it add the leader dice, it also adds these special extra abilities for each character. You're also getting 2 new characters in the game, which just adds more flavor. Like, for example, like Hemming. He's a skin changer, I guess. He reminds me of Bjorn. Once returned, you may exchange, a resource of certain type with the supply. That's a cool little power. I mean, I guess, it's fun. It works. And you also have Thyra here, which is another character that gives you another power. But then on top of that, you get an extra power for each character you already have in the game, plus these. For example, let's see. You have supply lines. And who's that for? That's for Guildfield the Seaworthy. You can claim any one reward currently on display in the merchant ship. You get legendary leadership. Change the result of a die face to a result of your choice, and it's one of the white dice. That's cool. Prophetic vision. Immediately take a sage's hut action. Battle prayer. And again, this is if you roll this and you gain horns on your leader die, you gain 1 favor token, and so on and so forth. So now you're not just relegated down to a 1 power, you've got 2. And it doesn't add a whole lot of complexity to the game. I thought that was so cool. So now if I die in battle and I lose all my dice and I'm screwed, not so screwed anymore. I can use that as a monetary system. Yeah, I can use their dead bodies to purchase me blessings because I'm a morbid person, right? Which is what Vikings pretty much were. Yeah, this opens this game up in ways that totally saved it for me. This would have been on the chopping block otherwise. So, in short, the Valhalla expansion, I believe, and people were telling me it was essential. I'm going to tell all you people that were saying that to me, you're absolutely right. I completely agree with you. If you get Champions of Midgard, now granted, you might like Champions of Midgard base game without the expansion anyway. I personally thought it was okay. It wasn't anything to write home about. I wasn't blown away by it. I was ready to get rid of it. But then I got to play it with this, and it blew the game wide open for me. I will not play this game without it anymore. And if somebody asks me to, I would begrudgingly want to. I don't want to play it without this. This changes the game that significantly. To be honest with you, I haven't gotten to play I think it was the Dark Mountains expansion, the other one that came out for this. And this expansion makes me want to go get that. I don't know all the details on what it changes or anything. I think it just adds more good stuff into the game, because there were some tokens in here for a new type of green dye that didn't come with this. I'm assuming that's in that, but it makes me want to get that. Anyway, so my final rating is base game to me is not worth it by itself. I'm just saying. For me, you might love it, but with the Valhalla expansion, I never see myself getting rid of this game. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. Like I said, it's about an 8.59. Well, it's not a 9 yet, but it's getting there. You know, it's subjective as it is. The number's climbing. Every time I play this, it just keeps going up another notch. Anyway, thank you so much for watching the Dice Odyssey today, and I'm glad I was proven wrong. Anyway, thank you again. What did you think of Champions of Midgard? On the base game alone, was it worth keeping to you? Did you love it? Or did Valhalla expansion make it that much better that you're like, oh, I'm keeping it, you know, and I never get rid of it? Anyway, thank you again. Please remember to like and subscribe. It does help the channel out immensely. You have a blessed day, and game away.
This video is brought to you by Fallen Dominion Studios. Check out their website at fallendominionstudios.com.